Today I'm going to be talking about all of the add-ons that I use which are for PvP, because I've been getting a lot of questions for a long time about what add-ons I use for PvP, so let's get straight into it. The first add-on that I use, which isn't exactly PvP centric, is Deja Character Stats. It's basically just an add-on which gives you more detail as to what stats your character has. You can toggle the stats on and off depending on if you want them or if you don't, so you can hide leech, you can hide avoidance, you can show dodge chance, and so on and so forth. It's not a massive thing, but it is genuinely quite helpful. The next one is a big arena add-on. This one is called Gladius. And what Gladius is essentially just a big arena pane, and it shows you what your DRs are, if they've got trinkets available, if they've got their dispels available, so if they're on cooldown or not. It shows you how much health they have in percentages and what they're casting. It's basically just a lot of arena information put into one easy to see pane, which you can drag around wherever you want it. Gladius is also quite customizable. If you type in /Gladius, it'll give you this. So you can have it show the dispels or not. You can have it show the health bars if you want. You can make it whatever you want essentially. But you can also change the way it looks. So if you go into DR Tracker, you can give it more space if you want, or you can just have it the way it is. But all in all, it is just an arena add-on for tracking DRs, trinkets, and just giving you more information about the arena. If you care about arena and you want to push rating or just perform better, you'll want this. The next one is nameplate cooldowns. Now, this is one that I find really helpful. It is basically just a cooldown tracker which is displayed on the enemy's nameplates. And I'm going to put an example on the screen right now of it in action, and it's really good for deducing when a target is good for a swap or something like that. In the example that I'm putting on the screen right now, there's a druid who comes behind a pillar and I'm playing double Windwalker, and we know that he doesn't have trinket or barkskin, so we just swap to him and he's dead. And his partner's not exactly in a position to peel. If we didn't have nameplate cooldowns, we could have looked at Gladius and seen that it didn't have a trinket. But with nameplate cooldowns, we're able to see what else he has on cooldown, like barkskin. Nameplate cooldowns also does have a customization pane, so you can have it track certain things. So if you want it to not track something, or if you do is click it, and once it's grayed out, it won't track it. But by default, everything is being tracked, but if there's something that you don't want it to track, you can just remove it straight up. Nameplate cooldowns also has a customization pane, so you can increase or decrease the icon size. You can have it offset if you want. I don't know why you would want that, but it's your choice. There's sorting modes, so you can have it sort, trinkets first and interrupts and other spells, like that. Then there's of course the font, which will change what appears on the actual things itself. I just like to have the clean one, so I can quickly look at it and determine that's a 7, that's 27, and it's just easy to see. The next add-on is Omnibar, and this is basically just another tracker, but it's a little bit different. Omnibar is really useful for tracking things like interrupts, and that's mainly what it's used for. So with Omnibar, this is what it would look like in an insane situation, right? But it mainly tracks things like kicks. So you can see that it's got a Rebuke on cooldown, Skull Bash on cooldown, Consume Magic, and this is kind of the stuff that it would track. It's basically just a kick tracker which is consolidated into one neat panel. So that way you don't have to be constantly looking at different people to know if they've got kicks available. It's all just going to be put into this little section, or wherever you want to put Omnibar. And of course there's also the customization of this, so if you want the icons to be bigger or smaller, and if you want it to be set out into more rows or whatever you want. You can also show like player names on the spell, so you know who's used it. This is mainly useful for casters, but the reason why I like having it as a monk is because you do have some casts which can be interrupted. You've got a fuse, and if you spec chi burst, that's mainly what people might try to kick you on. If you are playing 2s with a caster, or if you're playing 3s, and someone tries to kick you, or you notice that they don't have kicks available, you can tell your partners that there are no kicks on this person and that person, so then they know if it's good to fake, or if they know that they can free cast where they don't have kicks available. It's good to be aware of this and know if people have stuff available or if they don't, because sometimes your partners might not be concerned about that at that moment. They might be thinking about something else. They might not know that there's kicks available, or if there's kicks not available. So telling them these things and being aware of them is very handy. Pretty much whenever someone kicks me on Chi Burst, I'll tell my partners that that person doesn't have kick available. You don't need Omnibar for that, but it's just good to know when their kick is up again. Just a little utility thing, mainly for casters, but it's good to have as a monk as well to help other people. The next one is Recount. Basically just tracks combat statistics, so how much damage, how much healing, how much damage you took. Recount is really handy because at the end of an arena, you can go through and see like how hard you hit with something, or if something's just wrecking you and you don't know what, you can go through damage taken and see what's dealing all the damage. You can also check things like dispel, so how many times you dispelled, how many times you kicked. If you go through an arena and you notice you've only got like one kick over the course of like a 5-minute game or something, then you know that you have to kick more. It's also really good for testing out new talents and stuff. So for me, when I was testing out Jade Wind, I would use Recount to determine if its damage output was worth it over hit combo, and I determined that it was in certain situations. So by using Recount, you can weigh talent choices, you can see how much damage you're doing, you can see dispels, interrupts, and it's just really handy overall. The next add-on is scrolling combat text, and it's basically just an extension of the combat text which we used to have, which, you know, floats off your target when you hit them. For whatever reason, I cannot open up the menu because it gives me a big error. But it's basically just a customizable combat text, so you can have the numbers appear bigger or smaller, you can set a threshold to damage, so if something goes below a certain number, you can have it not show at all, so you can make it just show big hits if you want. And the reason why I got it is because it displays healing down here, because without this it would only show the amount I'm getting healed for up here. But let's just say that I'm in 2s or something, it's helpful to know how much I'm getting healed for by my partner and what they're healing me with. So that'll all show down here. And it will also show how much I'm healing if I heal someone else, like that. It's just a little thing, that's the reason why I use it. I'm pretty sure patch 7.3 broke the add-on so the menu's not opening or something like that. But when it gets updated, this is something that you should at least check out. The next add-on is a big one, this is called Tell Me When. And this is my favorite add-on because it can track stun DRs, it can track buffs, it can track whatever you want it to, and it can show like a little animation so you know when it's happening. So when you first open Tell Me When, it's probably going to look something like this. It's going to have 4 square boxes. And to set it up, all you have to do is just right click one of the boxes where you want it to track something, and then you can set whatever you want. So for a quick little tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up a stun DR tracker. So all you do is you right click on one of the squares where you want it to track, and on this where it says icon type, these are all the things you can track. So you can have it track a spells cooldown, an items cooldown, a buff or a debuff on someone, and diminishing returns if they're casting something, so on and so forth. We want diminishing returns, so here, after you've clicked on diminishing returns, it says what to track. If you want to track a stun DR, then you put in DR, and then all these come up. So we're going to want DR stun, and these are all the things that get tracked. So leg sweep is there, bash is there, cheap shot is there, it's all there pretty much. So you click on that, and then it appears here, DR stun, and it says who to watch. Now these are all the things that you can have. You can have player, target, target of target, focus, you can have pet, you can have pet's target, whatever you want, right? For this though, I'm going to have it set to target. Next up is custom texture. This is basically just what you want the icon to look like, but for this example we're just going to go with asphyxiate. Now the rest is basically just what the icon itself looks like. I like to have show with no results, that way the icon is always showing. Keep this ticked. Then you've got the opacity and color. So basically, if this spell is undiminished, then it will show you how much it shows, and if it is diminished, it will show you how much it shows. I have both of these up because I want it to always show the icon. This is of course up to you, this is something that you fiddle with. The next setting you can tweak is timer sweep. There's show timer, and there's show timer text, so it tells you how many seconds are left. And that's what I've got on my actual DR for my stuns. So if I compare them, once that stun is over, this is what I currently have. So it shows the timer, and it's also got the sweeping animation on the icon. And this is what it is without it. So if you just wanted to say they're on 50% DR and nothing else, you can have it like that if you wish. And then once that resets, it'll just stop. And then the next time you stun them, it'll start again. That glowing though, that's another setting which you have to do, which I will go through in a second. So for this I'm going to put on the show timer and show timer text. And then you want to go into notifications. And this is where you can set the animations like I had on that icon before. Now these are the settings which I have for my stun DR. So when the stun DR is finished, so on finish, it'll play the activation border, which is that glowing animation that went around the icon. And then when the stun DR starts, it'll stop animating and it'll just have that icon with the sweeping thing on it. So here, if I stun him, once that stun is over, it'll start tracking that. It'll then go through its sweep and then tell you 6 seconds are left, 5. Once that is over, it'll then play the animation again. And then that'll stay like that until I stun them again. So the way I look at it is when this glow is available, full stun is ready. So if you want to set up the same animations as me, all you have to do is go into the notification tab, then add notification for animation. Then on finish, set a activation border to play indefinitely. And this basically just means it will never stop playing until the stop animations thing is played. So that's done, and then you add another one, animation, on start, stop animations. So then now, once I stun him, and that falls off, it'll act the same as my other one. There it is. Now I've also got one tracking concordance. You can have this track whatever buff you want, but I've got it currently tracking a buff/debuff, what to track, concordance of the Legion Fall, who to watch, player. Player is yourself. Tracking a buff, and then if the buff is present, it's there, and if there's no buff, it's still there. I've got the texture set to Tiger Eye just because I want it, but you can have that too, whatever you want. And of course I've got the timer and the timer text available as well. Then in notifications, I've got add notification on start, icon for activation border, duration 10 seconds, because that's how long concordance lasts. So it'll play an activation border for 10 seconds once it procs. So even if it procs while it's up, it'll reset the duration to 10 seconds, and then once it runs out, it'll just stop. As for the other DR trackers, it's all the same options as the stun one, except instead of DR stun, it's DR incapacitate. You don't have to follow these options if you want. If you want it to work exactly the same as mine, then go for it. But this is something that you can play around with and have it to whatever your liking is. So I'm pretty sure that is all of the add-ons which I'm using covered for PvP anyway. If you've got any questions about the add-ons which I talked about, or if you're getting stuck setting up any of the settings, let me know. Leave any questions if you have any. Take it easy, and I'll catch you guys later.